Number 13 is all about amplitude, frequency, and period. And given an equation, because given a graph or something like that, we could have done this a little bit differently. But the equation ones seem to be a little bit easier to do. Amplitude, by definition, is the distance from the maximum or midline to the midline, to the maximum or minimum to the midline of the curve. It's always positive because it's distance. The formula for amplitude is the absolute value of A. Now this happens to be A right here. So you're going to take the absolute value of -5, which happens to be 5. So amplitude is always positive. A is negative. In fact, what's happening here with this A being negative, it's going to take your sine curve, and instead of it being like your hill and your valley, and it won't be about the x-axis because there's a vertical shift here, but instead of being about the hill and the valley, it's going to flip it, and it's going to be a valley and a hill. So amplitude is always positive, even though A can be negative. Frequency is the coefficient of the angle, and the angle in this case is x. Frequency is going to be 2. Now what does that mean? Frequency is the number of full cycles in a 2 pi interval. So in a 2 pi interval here, you should expect to see 2 cycles of the sine curve, a hill and a valley and a hill and a valley. Period is a definition, 2 pi over the frequency. So it's going to be 2 pi over 2 when simplified as pi. So what does that mean? It means it's going to take pi interval to finish one full cycle. So in pi, you'll see a hill and a valley. Now the range is going to be everything in the vertical distance. Now, do you see this 5 here, whether it be 5 or -5? If I covered up that vertical shift of 10, the max would be 5 and the min would be -5. Do you agree? Yes, you do. So why don't we just write the range as it normally would be, which is -5 to 5, and then add that vertical shift to our min and max values. So -5 plus 10 is 5. 5 plus 10 is 15. This is my range of values. Now if you did put the equation in the calculator and look at your table, you would see that 5 is the minimum and 15 is the maximum. So you're better off just using the formulas and checking it with the calculator. If they ask me for the minimum, this is wrong. Silly Mr. Motto. If they ask me for the minimum, you'd say that it's 5. If they ask me for the maximum, you'd say that it's 15.